He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got up third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He did a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that?
Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, FSU. Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other.
It's caught. It's caught. It's caught. Touchdown, FSU. Kelvin Benjamin.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
This is the Garnet and Old podcast with your hosts, Ryan Eastman and Vince Ciccarelli. What's going on, podcasters? Welcome to an impromptu show of Garnet and Old. You know what? We have a show on Thursday, but I was sitting on my couch and I was thinking to myself, man, I can't stop thinking about this LSU game. The AP poll comes out. You know, we're in the top 5 in the country. I can't wait till Thursday. I want to talk about Florida State now. I've been talking about Florida State for the entire weekend with friends and family, but guess what? I needed to get on a mic and talk. So if any of you are listening at home and you want to comment or talk about the game, throw it in the comments. Let's have a conversation, ask any questions, chime in, and I'll try to put it on the screen. Like and subscribe, Garnet and Old. We do so much live content during the fall season. You know, we have our Thursday, every single Thursday at 7 o'clock live show. We do pregame and postgame for every single game this season. And we're going to do one-offs like this, where one of us, Vince or myself, hops on camera and does a little thing. So I'm so excited all of you are here. Let's talk some Florida State. So first thing I want to talk about, because the last time you heard from me was an instant reaction 5 minutes after the game. And a lot has happened since then, processing this game on what actually happened and how I'm feeling about it. In the moment of watching the game and then giving my instant reaction, felt very much like Florida State almost dodged a bullet until halftime and then, you know, found a way on a couple of big plays to win the game, right? So that was my instant reaction. If you guys saw me on Sunday night giving my reaction, it was very much in the moment, okay, wow, we really struggled at the beginning, but we pulled it out. I've gone back and watched, you know, the condensed game. I love, man, YouTube is great. Condensed games where you can watch, you know, the entire game in 30 minutes with all the commercials and everything. Fantastic for football nuts like myself. And what I found was it was not that Florida State lucked out after halftime and just hit a couple big plays. I started paying attention, guys, to the line of scrimmage and to the receivers off the line. You know, how they are actually positioning themselves when they first get off the line of scrimmage on the snap. And what I found was the second half is not too dissimilar from the first half. Now, I know what you guys are going to think. You're going to say, now hold on. It looked pretty rough in the first half, and it did. But the reasons why, we had a lot of drops. I mean, in the moment, you're just kind of hype up and watching the game, and you kind of forget about all the things that happened. Lots and lots of drops. All of them for first downs. So when you're thinking about, you know, Florida State's offense in the first half, and then Jordan Travis getting rattled, it's not just that Jordan Travis out of nowhere uncharacteristically got rattled. It's that my man had hit a bunch of big plays and first down plays, and people were dropping balls. And now he's sitting here thinking, man, you know, we're supposed to be scoring all these points. We're supposed to be this really great offense. And he starts to press a little bit. But if you actually watch the line of scrimmage play and the receivers, it's not too dissimilar from what happened in the second half. It's just that they executed and caught the ball in the second half. LSU, really, really excited that they thought that they had us after halftime. I 100% believe that. I believe most LSU fans thought that they had Florida State at halftime. But immediately upon coming out, Mike Norvell says, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. The second we started getting through the line of scrimmage and 5, 7, 8 yard runs consistently using that two back set, all of a sudden, hey, we're moving the ball. And then it opens up those play action, RPO plays deep. And the rest is history of us hitting a bunch of really, really great thrown balls by Jordan Travis. Keon Coleman, can't say enough about him. Deuce Spann on that play, in which it was supposed to be a trick play where, we toss it back, we do the flea flicker situation, the reverse to the deep ball. It wasn't there. And immediately, I know all fans out there were thinking the same thing I was. Oh my God, my man's about to get sacked because he's taken off and running, kind of like he wasn't just running sideways, he was running backwards. And I'm thinking, man, he's going to eat this sack and we're going to lose 10, 15 yards on the play. But no, zip, he just keeps on running and delivers a strike down the field to Johnny Wilson. And you're like, well, okay. I want to keep that in the back pocket. Now we know that in a pressure-packed situation, Deuce Spann can deliver as a quarterback. So if they ever want to do some very creative, formations and situations where they kind of have, Jordan and Deuce involved in kind of quarterback play, I'm all good with that, man, because Deuce Spann, what a rocket he threw. And then finishing off, man, the last touchdown, I think, was to the tight end. And when we get that touchdown, it's over. The game's over. It's great. We're all celebrating. I'm having a house party. Everyone's having a great time. And we're just celebrating at home. And I want to remind everyone that it's real easy to get caught up in, okay, next week and Clemson and the following week and the following week. Guys, sit down and just enjoy each week individually on its own merits and how much fun it is to be in the national discussion again, to be one of the teams that is routinely considered a top 5, top 10 team. And every week we have a big matchup to look forward to. Now, this week we have a cupcake coming up with Southern Miss. Fully expect that to be a pretty big blowout, right? I mean, obviously it should be, but it's just nice to be not only competitive again, but winning again. And I want to remind everyone to kind of live in the moment more. I think that's important in life. And it's also important for the season, because if you had told me at the beginning of the 2015 season, coming off 29 straight, man, we just won a national championship, we made it to the playoffs on 14. If you had told me in 2015 that we weren't even going to sniff that kind of success for the next 8 years, I would have enjoyed that 2014 and 2013 season even more than I already did. But because of the success, I was looking forward at all times. I was like, we're going to win it in 15 and 16. You're always thinking we're going to keep this up. And when it doesn't happen, it's like, man, that sucks. So I want to remind everyone, it can change quickly. College football, it can change on a dime. Mike Norvell next year could announce, he probably won't, but he could announce he wants to be an NFL coach. And he leaves and we get a different coach and everything falls apart. It could happen. That's the way college football works. Look at Deion Sanders going to Colorado and putting up 1,000 points. And now, you can't get a ticket there for less than $2,000 for this next game. That kind of thing happens in college football. So what we do know is that Mike Norvell will be the coach this year. We have this roster this year. So fully enjoy the ride, man. And if you have any questions or you want to throw some comments about how you felt about the game, throw it in the comment section. I'd love to bring you on the show and answer any questions you have. But all right, let's talk about something else. So the rankings. Now, listen, the rankings don't mean that much until it's, the college football playoff selection committee, releasing their playoff rankings. That's when it really gets heated up around the halfway point in the season. And that's honestly the only rankings I truly care about. But is it nice to be recognized before that? Absolutely. Now, a couple things. Florida State, I predicted at the end of the game, I said, we're probably going to take the place, in my opinion, at the time, we were going to take the place of LSU at number 5. That's what I said right after the game. Now, What started to change, and I thought we could have gotten a little bit higher, maybe even to 3, was you heard guys like Reese Davis going on YouTube and saying, Florida State's my number 1 team. And I saw a bunch of articles written where different college football analysts are saying, well, they were my number 1 team, my number 2 team, my number 3 team. And I'm thinking, ooh, man, we're actually going to get a pretty sizable bump here. And that's awesome. But I was pretty sure it was going to be 5. Now, for the coaches poll, it was 5. But for AP, we jumped Ohio State. Now, if you know anything about Ohio State, they've been dominant, really, from the time Urban Meyer arrived again at Ohio State. Even after he left, they've remained that staple program. They're a playoff contender every single year. They have tons of talent. They didn't do anything wrong this weekend. They won their game. They did what they were supposed to do. Maybe it wasn't the flashiest win or anything like that, but hey, in college football, win's a win. So I'm thinking there's no way we're going to jump them. And we do. What that tells me is that the national media outside of Tallahassee and Florida in general, it took this game against LSU to change the narrative in their minds about what FSU can be. Because keep in mind, the AP poll, the weekly coaches AP poll and the coaches poll together, it should be a reflection of how you feel about that team in the moment. It should not be where you think they'll end up and all that kind of stuff. So for the media to vote in the coaches poll, in the AP poll and then the coaches poll, shows that they believe in Florida State. Just last week before this game, tons of articles. Prove it to us, Florida State. Prove it to us, Florida State. Yeah, they have a lot of talent, but we have to see it on the field. Well, they saw it on the field. That was an ass beating. We killed LSU. So now we get to see the national media go, oh, we already knew in Tallahassee, and that, you know, people who follow Florida State and who have watched the practice reports know that Florida State has been killing it in practice. They've been doing awesome. But the national media, guys, if you're a national analyst, let's say I work for ESPN as a college football analyst, you have to cover all these teams around the country. So all you really know about most teams is a little bit. The important, you know, they know Jordan Travis is back as the quarterback. They know Jared Verse is going to be an all-world, presence on the defense. But they don't really go too deep. They don't really go further than what you would find in a magazine about Florida State. So we've been saying for a while on Garnet and Old, and lots of people have been saying it who cover the team. This team is the deepest team, the best talent we've had since 2013. We did an episode about it 2 weeks ago. But it took this game, the proving point game, to solidify what we've been telling you guys for weeks now, is that now the national media saw it. And what's awesome is once you're there, once you're in that top 4, unless you have some inexplicable loss, down the road, if you lose to a good team, you'll still hang around, anywhere from 4 to 8 with one loss. And then you have a chance to get back up if you win your conference. But this game showed the national media that we are for real. Now, we cannot just rest on our laurels and start just assuming a win every week. We're not to that point. I wasn't to that point with 2013 Florida State, honestly, until after the Boston College game, where it started to feel like we can just assume they're going to kick ass today. So do I think they'll handily beat a lot of ACC opponents? Yes. Could they have a snafu game? Yes. I'm leaving room for that. I don't think that's impossible. I think you can have a game where you just look awful and it's a bad day and the other team has a really good day. And that will happen to any team around the country. What you have to do, though, is minimize the mistakes and maximize when you do have explosive plays. And that's exactly what happened in the LSU game. At best, that's a 7 out of 10 performance by Florida State if you look at the entirety of the game. Imagine when Florida State hits a 9 out of 10 game. It's hard to get some 10 out of 10s, but let's say a 9 out of 10 games. And let's say instead of it being against LSU, it's against Wake Forest. Okay. What does that look like? That's probably 50 plus points and holding the other team to less than 10. That's when this thing gets exciting, is when you start seeing consistent beatings every single week. Southern Miss, guys, just pencil it in. It's a win. It's going to be a big win. But come Boston College in 2 weeks, by the way, we'll be at Fishweir Brewing Company for that game here in Jacksonville, Florida. So come on, come see us. We're going to do a whole live show. It's going to be great. But come that Boston College game, that's the moment where Florida State needs to continue to push the gas down. I want to see that game not competitive by halftime. What they showed us against LSU tells me that against Boston College, honestly, Florida State should probably be up 35-7 or something at halftime against Boston College. And let's get some backups in. Because you got Clemson coming up now. That brings me to my next point. What a joy it was watching Clemson absolutely shit the bed last night. I mean, it was awesome. I turned on that game on YouTube TV expecting, this will be, it's football. Football's on. I'm going to have the game on. I had some, my NFL draft was going on at that same time. So I was really focused on my NFL draft for about the first, maybe 2 drives. But then by the second quarter, I'm like, well, good Lord. Duke still has not allowed, any success by Clemson. And and Duke shot themselves in the foot over and over and over with fumbles. And man, I love to go to bed on time on a work night. For those of you that know me, hey, 10 o'clock, man, work night, peace. I'm going to bed. Had to stay up a little later last night. I wanted to watch that game. And every time they showed Dabo Swinney on the sidelines, looking down or just staring confusingly off into space, it just made me smile. Now, selfishly, did I want Clemson to be undefeated when we played them in a couple weeks? Yes, because I want college game day there, and that would be great. But if you told me Clemson will lose the next 3 games and lose to FSU, I would say that's awesome, because that means that program's in decline. And Dabo acting like a complete fool in the post game, giving all kinds of excuses and throwing his OC under the bus. And guys, it's getting bad. I don't know if all of you saw it. There was a video, someone captured it, a player running off the field, and Dabo puts out his hand to give a guy a high five. And the guy just brushes past him abrasively. And Dabo just turns around and looks back like, what was that? Guys, that's the stuff I can tell you from personal experience as a Florida State fan. That's the stuff we started seeing in 2016 with Florida State. Jimbo Fisher arguing with assistants on the sidelines. Anytime we lost, he would be very defensive with the media and say we are, 1 play away, or, 1 block, we would have been out the gate. That kind of stuff started happening. And you started hearing some reports that players weren't exactly thrilled with what they were hearing. It was getting stale. The Jimbo Fisher, machine of him just talk all the time, being real hard on people, it started to wear thin on those players. They started to get tired of it. And that's what I see happening with Dabo. He had the run. Look, he had generational quarterbacks, Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, all of them NFL players. And then he gets to DJ Uiagalelei. I'm not even going to try. DJ, okay? And now we see DJ go to another school, and now he's putting up 5 touchdowns in a game. All right. So Dabo is really, really hard to like. He's cringeworthy. I told my wife the story. I'm sure most of you know about it, where Dabo, when they asked him about NIL, said, he puts a lot of stock in NIL and name, image, and likeness, but God's name, image, and likeness on the program, insinuating that he is somehow, the Clemson program is blessed, by God's plan for football. Guys, listen, I believe in God. God doesn't care one bit who wins the football game. Okay. So Dabo, just cringeworthy stuff on camera. He does the cringeworthy TikToks. They were out in the lake and he was singing and jumping off the cliff and everything. It's just gross. When they're winning and winning national championships, hey, everyone's like, whatever works, I guess. The moment a hard to get along with personality has a setback, blood in the water, okay? Not just in coaching, but in life. If you are hard to work with, and I might be a little hard to work with sometimes if you have worked with me, but if you're a little hard to work with, even if you do 1,000 great things, the second you do something that seems like bad performance or whatever it is, all of a sudden the sharks are going to start circling, pointing out like, hey, did you notice that? You see it? And that's what we're seeing right now. All those media reporters that gave Dabo all the love when he's at the NFL draft, hugging his players and crying and talking them up, are the same people writing articles today saying, oof, that wasn't a good look. He was very defensive. Give them a reason to write the negative articles, and it's going to snowball. And hey, if Clemson then goes off to lose to us, they have 2 cupcakes the next 2 weeks, but they lose to us. And then let's say they lose another 2 or 3 conference games. Man, you want to talk about Dabo really starting to make a fool of himself? I promise you it'll get better from here. It's going to be awesome. And as a Florida State fan, I can't wait to see it. This whole season, I can't wait to see, but it's so many good storylines. Florida State, I'm sure we're going to be great this year, but it's so nice to see Clemson start to wear it because we've been wearing it for years now. It's time for someone else to wear it. And it seems like it's happening to a lot of Florida State rivals. Florida look like trash. Okay. Clemson, trash. Miami, not too bad, but they played nobody. But, it looked okay. Florida State, destroying an SEC team. That's where we're at right now, and it makes me so happy. So, guys, want to thank you watching this. Again, Thursday, still going to do the show. Vince and I are going to have a lot to say about the upcoming weekend and the game. But please like and subscribe the Garnet and Old channel on YouTube. We really, really want you to be a part of our community. And listen, we're local to Jacksonville, so we would love to be, Jacksonville's Florida State go-to channel. But man, we want everyone around the world to listen to us. Hang out with us, comment. We'd love to have you on the show. Go Noles, Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Have a great night, everyone.